The success of Sly 2 was special. I don't think I need to go very far to prove how well it connected with its audience. Sly 1 oozed potential, but was too set in the traditional ways of a typical mascot platformer to realize it. Still, changing things up as dramatically as it did was risky, bold, and oh so gratifying to see absolutely realize that potential. There's nothing quite like Sly 2. This beautiful globe-trotting heist-em-up that leverages the strengths of an anthropomorphized jumpy game against the sort of writing chops you typically associate with a more modern Naughty Dog title. The veneer of its Batman-inspired comic book art style, the icing on the cake. There's an expectation, then, when going from Sly 2 to 3, that initial success was just the beginning. That this unique formula, the iconic international destinations, and the lovable characters would just carry us on, and on, and on, and on, and in some cases, on. And to that end, the intro's almost antagonistic deviance really puts the player on the back foot. But really think about it, and realize it's not as though we could have just slipped back into an old routine. Not after that last game's finale. We lost Bentley, Murray, the team van, even the disintegration of Clockwork, though a welcome change, was still a massive blow to Sly's identity, both the games and the character.
When Bentley was injured during the whole Clockwork affair, Murray blamed himself, eventually leaving the team. We tried to console him, but going out on his own was something he needed to do.
There's a sort of denial, then, that hangs in the air of our first proper episode. A struggle to yank at all those threads and try and maintain what we're at risk of leaving behind. So our first goal...
It was clear that we needed Murray back. Not only was I missing a lifelong friend, but his brute strength helped get us out of more than a few scrapes in the past.
Get the band back together.
We got word that Murray ended up in the Australian outback, where he studied a mystic art called the Dreamtime from an Aboriginal guru.
Everything about this first opening has been deliberately crafted to set a player hoping for more Sly 2 at their ease. A famous city as the backdrop. An endearingly caricaturized villain with a motivation explored through their backstory.
Octavio.
It's like we're sinking into a warm bath, and all the bubbles' scents have names like Black Chateau and Starry-Eyed Encounter.
Everyone loved to hear him sing opera, and said he was destined to be the next great tenor. But just as his career started to take off, musical tastes changed. Suddenly, it was all about rock music, and no one wanted to listen to opera anymore. He held on to a few fans, and it was these mobsters that took him into the business. Heading onto this guy's turf was dangerous, but worth it for a chance to make things right with Murray.
Welcome, everyone and everything, to an opera of fear. Let's do a quick speed round on that cutscene. These thugs Murray's beating down are the rats and warthogs from the Paris level in Sly 2. This frame is taken directly from the end of the second issue of The Adventures of Sly Cooper. The dream time Murray is studying is actually a real thing. More commonly called the dreaming, it's a somewhat major aspect of Australian Aboriginal culture and mythology. This isn't the best time to go into much detail about it though. Trust me, we'll give it its own spotlight later. Setting our first mission in Venice is incredibly clever. Sucker Punch always cited the Italian job as one of their principal inspirations for Sly 2. Sly 3 began production not long after the 2003 reimagining of the film released, the inaugural heist of which was set in Venice. The opera Don Octavio is performing here is The Valkyrie, which you might know better by the name of one of its songs, Ride of the Valkyries, which you can even hear in the background for a sec.
But just as his career started to take off,
This rock band, the Oscars, is an obvious reference to the Beatles, but the name Oscars is a much harder reference to place. Are they named after the Academy Awards? Maybe the famous Oscars involved with the theater like Wilde and Hammerstein? There's an Oscar in this game's credits under contingent game test analysts. Maybe he was just that charismatic, or maybe it's just that the name kind of almost rhymes with rockstar. Don Octavio's mask is a play on the extremely famous theatrical icon, the Phantom of the Opera, further played up by the level's title, which incidentally gets a tiny touch of Bach staccato and fugue in D minor to accompany it. beginning as we have once before with a beautiful pan over the level to come. There's a distinct addition to the format here that's extremely welcome: the current time. Also, hey, there's Sly, waiting for his cue to start moving. Seems he was already inside the safe house, just with its windows unloaded. This setup is pretty sleek. We got these really nice bay windows with a perfect view of Don Octavio's iconography, along with some of his posters on the table. Lots of overt nods to the Don's influence on this city. These blueprints on the table were also present in abundance in the second game. I still don't know if they're a reference to anything though. And last bit before we get underway, super nice quality of life improvement that any character with a mission to fulfill will have this little icon over their head in the safe house. Whew, look at this place. So many moving parts, the boats, the Ferris wheel, the architecture, the canals. Gorgeous. It's interesting then that our first mission squirrels us entirely to the side of it. Straight to business, let's find our boy.
That massive dome marks the Venetian police station.
Cops around here really like to make an impression.
I'm afraid it's a losing battle. Don Octavio runs the show in this neighborhood. It's his security forces patrolling the streets, not the cops.
Noted. Huh. Looks like I found my way inside.
Well, that dome is covered in glazed tile. There's no way to climb up there.
Oh, come on, pal. There's always a way.
Got an obscure line from Bentley here if you take way too long to put two and two together.
There are some wires crossing the canal. They look like a good option for getting up to that air vent.
That mission start flag summons these spire points, which makes it pretty much impossible to get up here without triggering it. But with a precise jump from one of these tour boats, you can. It's the life up here. You can use this ordinarily out of reach spire point and even crawl into the vent. Wow!
Nice climbing, partner. I've got the blueprints to the vent system in front of me. I should be able to guide you to the jail cell.
Hey, Murray? Is that you?
Murray, that name's a stain on my pants, bro. What?
A few peculiar version differences here. In the PS3 version, this area loads in a second further into the scene, skipping the vent entrance, and the shadows in the cell have been tuned way down.
Cooper, you got some fuzzy dice to come round here.
Dimitri, long time no punch. See, you're still in jail.
And you still a crack a box.
Another blast of Sly 2 scented bubbles for our bath. The nigh undisputed fan favorite baddie, once again voiced by the all-star David Scully, bringing the heat with that funky hip-hop inspired vernacular.
You crack a box.
Let's get past the name calling and get to business.
Looking for main man Murray, eh? Sorry, but I'd rather see you get busted big time. God! Policia!
Wait!
But here's an unexpected shift. A dialogue tree. It's pretty surface level. Only one option from the list will progress things and the rest have no consequences, so it's hardly a puzzle.
Where's that generous nature you're so famous for? I always pegged you as the bigger man in these types of situations.
I'm a big man. Big with the payback and the sex appeal. Got that, Ant? I control the beat on this track. You're just a dancer.
If anything, the challenge here is to avoid picking the correct choice so you can get as much optional dialogue as possible.
It'll be a heck of a cage match, and we both know who will win. Or did you forget Paris?
Worth it to see your smug face behind the bars.
While there's not a lot going on here mechanically, it's a clever way to convey Sly's development as a character.
If those cops get their mitts on me, who's gonna break you out of jail?
More mature, more cerebral, more willing to talk through a problem before resorting to laying the smack down with his cane.
And then I'll get the double sentence. Grief!
I got in here through an air vent. We can both use it to escape.
I can't fit in no vent. You spy my macho frame? I'm packing too much sexy muscle to fit in vent like you stick dudes.
Dimitri single-handedly raising this game's age rating from E to E10+. I say go for it. You're killing it, man.
How about I get the cops' attention, then run for it? Once they're all outside shooting at me, you can slip out no problem.
No, that's a plan I can get behind. Dimitri is free and Cooper is cooked. Key for sale is in head cop lady's office.
Of course, who else would head cop lady be but Carmelita Montoya Fox? I like to think she took it upon herself to hang up our wanted posters around here whenever she got assigned to this place. If we don't rush, we can sit in the shadows while she gives her own version of one of Bentley's chalk talks to the police forces.
As we all know, the canals of Venice have been mysteriously filling with tar for the last month. No one is sure of the cause. but the effects have been devastating on the local wildlife and tourist trade.
And we can even catch a couple details early if we do, like that these are mercenaries, not cops.
I've hired you mercenaries over traditional cops because this is a dangerous assignment.
And that Octavio seems to be polluting the Venetian waterways for some reason.
Our sources believe that this man, Don Octavio, is potentially responsible for the disaster. I've yet to receive a warrant to search his Opera House mansion, so we're just going to have to do this the old-fashioned way.
Also, if you get caught out here, Carmelita's delivery just tickles me.
Sly Cooper. Should have figured you'd show up. Grab him, boys. Okay, I know you boys like things redundant, so I'm going to give you the presentation again. This time, pay attention. You're not getting paid to nap.
Hey, take it easy on him, Carm. You're the one who got him up for this meeting at 4 a.m. Her office desk has a couple of Sly game-related books on it. I guess reading the player's guide would genuinely help you figure out where Sly's gonna be next.
Now, where was I? Hold tight, boys. The power's on the fritz again. It'll calm down in a few minutes.
Better make sure you're under a desk when the lights come back on.
This slight escalation of mechanics is pretty cute, and so is the running commentary by the Mercs.
I can see, da! I can see! You look a lot better in the dark, Petrov. Really, you are an ugly, ugly man.
Some of it's even a little racy.
Keep your hands to yourself, Leon.
Can you really crack this coconut?
Sure, just takes a light touch.
Another brand new mechanic, combination lock cracking, which is pretty satisfying provided you have your controller rumble turned on. Obviously, I can't vibrate whatever you're watching this on, so I can't really convey this, but just trust me, it's nice. Here's something odd about this system. You can actually crack the code by rotating in either direction, regardless of what the initial arrows tell you.
I'll do like I promised and distract the cops so you can make your escape.
Solid. Don't worry, no mind. Straightway our password for Murray to find you. Meet at Rialto Bridge. Big Italian landmark.
You wanna know something crazy? I think Dimitri's watch is accurate. These two hands look to be about the same length, so 50-50 shot, it's either like 720 something or maybe 430 something.
Hello, assorted meatheads. And lady. Anyone feel like some exercise?
Cooper! Grab him, man!
And I'm out.
Ah, now it's really just like old times.
You've got some serious nerve showing up in my squad room.
I was concerned we were growing apart.
Then let's spend some quality time together in my interrogation cell.
So forward. What happened to the demure girl I used to know?
She grew up and stopped taking grief from guys like you.
Guys like me? Are you saying I've got some competition for your affections?
You're the only man in my sights right now.
Carmelita and Sly's banter has always been sharp, but now it's downright vorpal. And for Carmelita's part, there's an animosity there that we've rarely seen before, which is more down to the delivery than the actual writing. It might be time to consider we've been around this carousel maybe one too many times. On that same subject, even though this is a pretty short chase sequence, Miss Fox has a ton of callouts she can make, enough to run this course 15 times over.
You can't keep running for the rest of your life. You're slowing down, Cooper. You want me to slap the cops on you? You don't dodge as fast as you used to.
A lot of them even make reference to the mercenaries under her command, which kind of draws into stark relief how absent they are, huh?
Apes, converge on my position.
Sorry, Dimitri, I guess I'm not as tempting of a diversion as I thought.
Greetings, old Inspector Fox! Man, you're in it again!
Now, this is just silly. There was a moment kinda like it in the prologue, too. I'd love to defend it, but like, I got nothing.
Hope that manhole works both ways.
That's right. Hide in the sewers like the rat you are.
Let's take stock of that first mission, shall we? A bit of platforming and infiltration, a dialogue tree, a bit of positional stealth, an added timing mechanic to that, cracking that coconut, and finally a platforming chase sequence. The jobs in this game tend to bring a degree of complexity and evolution to them which even in Sly 2 we were only likely to see in the end mission heists. I'm a fan of the variety. Dang, Dimitri got word to Murray fast. It's pretty funny how quick we were to try and free him. But in retrospect, he's always been pretty harmless. What was he? A forger? Like, oh, you wouldn't forge a car, would you? Yeah, whatever. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Thanks for the quick escape. I owe you one. Again.
Of course, Searcher. We are all in need of peace.
You're really whole hog on this Dreamtime stuff, huh?
My mind is clear, like the woodland after a forest fire.
I like that despite the episode's main objective of getting Murray back on the team, there's an edge to Sly's conversation with him. Despite his claims in the opening cutscene that he wanted to make things right, he leads with,
Listen, Murray, we need you back on the team.
and only then tries to address the actual reason he left.
That thing with Bentley, it wasn't your fault. He doesn't blame you for the wheelchair.
Sorry, Sly. I walk a different path. My guru, in his wisdom, told me to lose myself and not return until the black water ran pure. So here I stay.
It comes across pretty selfish, far more so when he doubles down with,
You sure he didn't tell you to get lost and not come back until you cleaned out the water filter?
Come on, I'm on a real spirit quest here.
Sorry.
It's not something the game ever draws more attention to than this, but it seems Sly actually holds a bit of resentment towards Murray for leaving. But it's nice to see that the value he attributes to their friendship wins out pretty quickly here.
Tell me everything. I've missed you, pal.
Well, it's a long and awesome story. You got any gum?
After completing that mission, it becomes impossible to enter the police HQ again. I guess Carmelito must have figured out how we got in and boarded things up. If we were to get back in though, we'd find Dimitri. Just kinda chillin'. You know, he's cool, he's good. And our crawling state no longer persists beyond this table, letting us aggro everyone and discover none of them have AI in here that tells them how to attack Sly, not even Carmelita. So our goal has gotten a bit more complex. We'll have to get to the bottom of this tar business to get Murray back on our team, and to do that, it seems we're gonna have to take down Octavio. Thankfully, we've already basically got Carmelita on our side with that, and as we are not bound by her laws, we can get around that pesky need for a warrant. Maybe make their job a bit easier, eh? This is the point at which we're invited back to the hazard room to learn a few more mechanics the game will probably end up teaching us anyway. I already said pretty much everything I wanted about it, but there are a few funny things I could still touch on. Like, hey, during the guard tutorial, you're challenged to reach this waypoint in a few seconds, which you're meant to not be able to clear without sprinting, and subsequently being heard by the guards, but you can still sneak past them by jumping, at which point the guards are alerted to your position anyway. This guard is entirely invincible to everything except the stealth takedown, and of course...
Now for the showstopper. See that boat slung up above? That poor unsuspecting guard?
Yeah?
Feel like dropping it on his head?
This is an ingenious addition. Mechanical traps strewn throughout the maps. Sly's biggest weakness lies in engaging guards head-on, and you're strongly encouraged to find ways around it. Stealth takedowns, fleeing and hiding, making use of your environment by knocking these less acrobatic guards off rooftops. And this dovetails with that beautifully. Never mind why the city of Venice needs trap doors dropping into the canals beneath, this is just dang fun. And strongly evocative of the kind of antics a crew like this might employ in the films that inspired Sly 2 and 3. Oh, and while I was goofing off, over the course of 15 actual minutes, Bentley made 3 separate remarks about how to find missions via waypoints.
Just click the L3 button and head to the waypoint. The operation is underway. Click the L3 button to find a job. It's time to get started. We're ready to go. Click the L3 button to find a job.
Man, they really wanted to leave no one behind with that. Alright, so our first job in this set. Get some incriminating photos of Ladon in a few compromising situations.
Never thought we'd be helping out the cops.
I have to laugh at this bit of dialogue, cause like, 10 of the 13 episodes we've completed by this point in the series have ended in some kind of Interpol raid or another.
Your average law enforcer isn't that, I don't know, attractive? Hold up, here he comes. That's despicable.
Get a picture before he finishes. This is perfect.
Now the dialogue here suggests there's a time limit, but yeah, no, take your time. Why don't we admire this fountain? This mounted Templar dude getting ready to skewer a lion. Really cute touch that we can rail walk on his spear, too. We're teed up for the perfect photo here, but I'm feeling artsy. Let's see if we can do better. Perfect. Over the rest of this mission, we'll have to tail Octavio all over town as he leads us on a wild goose chase from photo op to photo op. And seeing as he's giving us such a runaround, I'd say this is the perfect opportunity to go over this level's bottle locations. Anytime you're ready, map. Just show me the first bottle. You know, do the whoop thing when the bottles pop up and... Oh, there's, there aren't any bottles? Not even one? Really? Yeah, so that's a shame. They were fantastic collectibles. Perhaps Sly 3's generally more streamlined approach called for their removal, or maybe they were just a victim of the game's lightning-fast development cycle. Either way, we still have plenty of reason to engage thoroughly with the level design. Octavio moves quickly, and while he's not that aware of his surroundings, his plethora of security forces can complicate matters rather quickly. You'll have to weave among the buildings and the streets to avoid their attention and the Dons by making snap decisions that'll keep you from falling too far behind. I think the saddest part is that all the traps around this level have been disabled. But this is a peaceful mission. Just watch and observe.
That poor bird bath. I guess more of a bird death trap now.
Another thing I can touch on now is Venice's beautiful world design. Obviously, they were working with some gorgeous source material, but everything about this place is stunning. I could just stare at some of the concept art they drew up for hours. All the stonework, the bridges, the lion and griffin imagery stressing Octavio's level of synchronicity with his home turf. Here's something fun and silly. The tips of the griffin wings are actually spire points. There are even a few landmarks around here based strongly on real life. Rialto Bridge is in the center of town, the Campanile de San Marco, one of its accompanying pillars, and Octavio's opulent theater mansion is clearly inspired by Santa Maria della Salute. A few easy things to miss. Octavio slides these hidden panels away from the tar pumps when he gets to them. A neat bit of continuity they didn't have to bother with. Also, if you wind up on this ledge he was using, there's a convenient wall hook right nearby you can use to keep yourself from soft locking.
He's doing something, but what? I can't believe it! He flooded that aquarium with tar! All those poor dead fish!
If you head over to this aquarium before he turns on the tar, you can actually see the fish occupying it, which surprised me. What surprised me even more is that we've seen these exact fish before. These are the very same models from the old Grizzleface mission in Sly 2. Guess Bentley's bombs must have launched a few way over here. Once again, it's nice to see a villain actually engaging in villainy. In this case, downright eco-terrorism, which gives us a clear idea of what we're fighting.
Hey, Samir, get that engineer on the horn.
Listen, Akio. This Ferris wheel was a good idea.
She's a pumping the tar fast. Nobody suspects a thing. But still, is it gonna be enough to get things ready for my opera recital? Well, when the people come to see me sing, I wanna make sure they keep a-coming.
Even if they don't feel like it.
One way or the other, there'll be opera fans again. Hey, hey, hey! Okay, see you soon.
That fiend! He's twisted a time-honored amusement park ride into a tool for wrongdoing! Break open the control panel with your cane. I'm on my way to do a little rewiring.
Massive lore implications that Sly can just smash these padlocks? These are the same things that kept us out of countless mechanisms, and this is all it took?
Look away if you must. You're about to witness the dark side of electrical engineering. Kill a bunch of poor innocent fish, will he? That'll do it.
Oh my god, that pigeon is dead. This is the start of a strange pattern in Sly 3. I'll cover it more as the pattern gets clearer, but I want you to keep this scene in your head.
This opera house is Octavio's base of operations.
Nice place. Sure to be a few coins laying around in there. What's the plan?
If you could get me inside to one of Octavio's computers, I should be able to hack his firewall and get the dirt on his operation.
Okay, have you got a point of entry? I'm guessing the front door's not the safest option.
That wooden hatch appears to be an ideal way to slip in undetected.
This fountain in the courtyard reacts to you standing on its spout, which is just delightful.
Octavio is known to rely on 3D technology to secure his property. In order to see the security measures, we'll need to utilize these depth optimizer goggles.
Functional and fashionable. Nice touch, Bentley.
So, as much as I'd love to let that scene slide by without context, I can't in good conscience. In the original release of this game, select missions gave you the option of playing them in horrible red and blue 3DO vision. The game was originally packaged with a cheap pair of glasses to experience the effect. Hey, it looks like Sly's mask, that's cute. This is honestly fine, it's basically just a little seismometer into the culture that this game was originally released in, where anaglyphic 3D was a bit of a technical fad. What's weird is that Sanzaru kept that cutscene, but removed the option to turn on the effect when porting the game. And if I'm being completely honest, I think if I'd been given the option between them keeping the terrible red and blue filter and removing the scene, I would have had them keep the filter. there is something a bit charming about it. Look, the characters even have unique models with the goggles on for the mission. Couple cool details in here, a few more opera posters, and these glass doors we came in through are see-through. But they didn't put anything outside of them, so what we can actually see is a future section of this level, which is still pretty neat. Anyway, the mission. The central gimmick here are these double-button doors.
To open this door, we'll need to press the 3D security buttons at exactly the same time.
The perfect security measure to deter any thief working solo, and also makes things extremely awkward if you ever want to get into your home while you're alone. So the more times you fail this, the more lenient it becomes, until eventually you have like a 3-second window to hit the timing. This is something Sly 3 does extremely often. Basically, mess up anything, even once, and it'll immediately ease off the difficulty. The game wants to be extremely accessible, while also not worrying players with a difficulty setting up front. Another great example of this is the damage things do in any given mission. Die, again, even once, and you'll suddenly find yourself significantly tankier. If there's any complaint I have about this system, it's that I think it's too quick to ease up. I'd prefer maybe 3 attempts on the hardest difficulty before it turns down the dial on me. On top of that, I'd say let's call it the difficulty floor, might be insultingly low. As a perfect example, this whole time I've been talking, Bentley's just been plugging away at his button while I've done nothing. And even still, after 30 attempts?
1, 2, 3. Nice.
It works without any input from you. On the other hand, I can see how this is a good thing for accessibility's sake, especially if anyone with difficulty hearing the prompt is playing, so props for that. Hey, wait a second, I recognize this layout. This is the crypt from Sly 2. Very thrifty, Sucker Punch, very thrifty.
Drat, my booster won't be enough to make it to that next door. I've made a number of improvements to my wheelchair, but none that can float me through this canal.
Don't worry about it, pal. I'm sure I'll find a way across.
Got some traditional Sly antics here, hopping through security measures while listening to our overseer enjoy the sound of his own voice on the PA.
Good evening to you, my fine associates. Octavio here. I'm pleased to report that the gas suction levels are at all-time high. However, it saddens me to report that some of you haven't been keeping in time with the orchestra, if you know what I mean. I'd like to see Mal, Raphael, and Julius in the main vacuum room immediately. We're gonna discuss your retirement package. And if any of you catch these boys, make a run for it. Well, shoot them in the back.
And at the end of it all, our first required fight. These cats wield fireworks as their main weapons, a cool aesthetic choice, but certainly nothing too complicated to deal with. One piece of concept art indicates these guys might once have been oar-wielding gondoliers, and another still leaned really far into the carnival aesthetic, indicating Octavio's forces may once have been undercover as street performers or something. And this design is even still referenced on the posters around here.
This door is made of 4-inch thick bulletproof plexiglass. My bombs won't make a dent. See if you can find a way around it through that ventilation shaft.
Well, nice of you two to stop by for a little fatherly advice. Julius made a run for it, and the curtains. Now, normally I'd whack a ball, but it's a carnival and I'm feeling charitable, so I take a second.
These missions feel so alive, man. These are the guards Octavio just summoned with his announcement, and now we get to eavesdrop while also getting a peek at an area of the level we have yet to visit.
You two stoolies are gonna be my new eyes and ears. I can't let no one get near my demolition switch or sabotage any part of the operation down here. Noise from inside of the family that someone's not content, then you tell me straight out. I can't be taking no chances this close to a short time.
If we break through the barriers and drop in early, it goes about as weirdly as you might expect. Octavio can't be beaten, but he will start ignoring you completely once he finishes his spiel. Marco and Raphael here, on the other hand, are programmed to be completely oblivious to you no matter what. Can't say they're gonna make great eyes and ears, Octavio. With clever use of the smoke bomb gadget, you can evade the notice of these cats and get some funny scenes like this one.
Thanks, pal. Judging from the security, we must be getting close. It's live!
Now we gotta fight 2 cats. These guards do a lot to make you feel like they're smarter than they are. Most prominently, they have the ability to jump over your cane swipes. You can just swing again, but it goes a long way towards conveying a certain evolution in their abilities.
Yes, a Wurlitzer 700! I could splice into this easy!
Just as long as you're enjoying yourself. That's the important thing.
This, Wurlitzer 700 computer appears to have piano keys for a keyboard. Perhaps odd, but when you consider that Wurlitzer is a piano company, maybe it makes sense.
Oh, it'll be a Snap extracting the details on Octavio's operation from this old dinosaur. What? A delay switch? Sorry, Sly. Guess the dinosaur has teeth. I'll hack as fast as I can. Watch my back. There are sure to be guards on the way.
So we're tasked with defending Bentley from an onslaught of pigeons as we wait for him to finish hacking in. These massive uncovered fireplaces make quickly dispatching them easy, though peculiarly, these are a special variety of pigeon that's easier to take down. The ones outside have an additional fire attack, and along with that, aren't vulnerable to fire the way most guards are. The only fire outside is produced by other guards, which always knock each other out no matter what the attack, but that they don't die to it is unique. Here's a fun one. If you slow down the sounds they make, you get the Goose Guard sound from Sly 2's Canada? Bentley's hacking animation is also reused from Sly 2, meaning his feet clip through his chair so he can stand on the ground, and they thought I wouldn't notice. But thanks to an odd visual glitch, if you let him die here, it becomes blatant. Bentley, you dog. A few more bits and bobs I found in this final room. When you first get in here, the door behind you remains open. I thought maybe it'd be clever to try and run as far back as possible to unload the pigeons, but that didn't end up happening. What was really amusing is that after Bentley died due to Sly's cowardice, the game shut me right down and locked the door behind me so I couldn't try again. Well, hang in there, buddy, cause take a gander at them, they're griffin carvings. Dang, those almost defy the art style. These rugs have some nice musical notation on them, nothing playable of course, you don't put a clef on the staff like that, and it wouldn't take much convincing for me to believe these buttresses around the perimeter of the ceiling are meant to look like PS1 controllers.
Download complete. Now we can find out exactly what Octavio is up to.
Our last mission in this set finally has us taking control of Bentley in his sick, souped-up wheelchair. One of my favorite changes that comes along with it is that he now starts with his trigger bomb gadget without needing to purchase it, and what once was my biggest qualm with it, that being that it wasn't worth the effort when considered against sleep darts, has been solved, as the damage has been amped up to one-shot even flashlight guards, combined with the fact that he now has the alarm clock available to him, and he's really leaning into that role as the team's gadget specialist. On top of that, he can now pickpocket guards all on his own, an extremely welcome change that puts him on much more even footing with him.
Click the L3 button to find a job.
Sly, are you serious with this cazzata? Though Sly's still more versatile, playing as Bentley just makes you feel devious. Though honestly, it's a missed opportunity they didn't make the alarm clock awaken sleeping guards. Anyway, our mission isn't really for Bentley after all. Instead, it's the first of no doubt many vehicle segments to come.
That Octavio has hired the Blue Viper Gondola Gang to take out Carmelita.
The Blue Vipers? Those guys are nasty.
I'm sorry, I can't get over the idea that Venice's equivalent to biker gangs is gondola gangs. I'm going to choose to believe this is fact. Now, suddenly taking over our 3D platformer with high-octane minigames like this is Sly's bread and butter. In an interview with Brian Fleming, this game's producer expresses a lot of pride in the sheer breadth of mechanics in this game, wider perhaps than the first two games combined, which certainly comes with some risks. If navigating this canal while wrestling with the finer points of not overheating your turret isn't your cup of tea, you're kinda out of luck. Fleming likened the experience to that of visiting an amusement park, and even knowing that mindset endears a lot of these mechanics to me. It might not be my favorite coaster, but it's been a while since I've ridden it, so I may as well enjoy it while I can. Given how Sucker Punch has handled set pieces like this in the past, I was anticipating that this chase sequence would be set up like a treadmill, loading in front and unloading behind, so I was pleasantly surprised to find that that's not the case at all. Instead, this area is an enormous figure 8, which takes about 8 entire minutes to traverse on foot, and makes it pretty impossible to tell otherwise. Man, look how into manning that turret Bentley is.
Another uneventful patrol. This city's beautiful, but a bit quiet for my taste.
I hope you realize that by saving Carmelita, we're only making our operation here more difficult.
Maybe so, but what's the fun in stealing if there's nobody trying to catch you? Besides, she's helped us out in the past.
That, and you've got a thing for her.
And I've got a thing for her. Look, I'll stash this boat. It might be useful for later. You stay out of trouble.
Before we let things advance, head back to the episode menu and select Jobs and Challenges. While Sly 3 may not have bottles, it got a couple extra goodies instead. For one, we can replay any mission we want at any time, which is just a huge relief, and for 2, we can undertake what the game calls Master Thief challenges, a callback to the Master Thief sprints from the original game. These are remixes or twists on some of the jobs we've taken on that will usually require a bit more finesse. Take out those gondoliers with half an HP bar. It doesn't change things up too much, but it's a good baseline of the things we can expect going ahead.
Scratch 1 blue Viper. Nice shooting, Bentley.
Alright, I'm gonna be honest. In the first Chalk Talk, I stole Bentley's thunder because...
So, according to these decrypted files, Octavio is pumping tar from underneath the foundations of buildings so he can sink them into the canals on a whim.
The audio balancing on this is abhorrent. I guess I could tweak it, make it a bit more palatable on the ears.
He's going to demonstrate this destructive ability to the people of Venice during his opera recital on the first day of Carnival. To counter this threat, we'll first destroy the balloons and sign advertising the recital. If no one shows up, he'll have no reason to sink a building.
Although now that I think of it, why are these here? These rundowns of the missions are made a bit redundant by the introductions to those missions we get via Binocucom.
Take out the sign and balloons advertising Octavio's big comeback opera recital.
I hear ya. If no one shows up for him to extort with his building sinking scheme, then why would he bother with the demonstration?
Is it just for the vibes? The feeling of seeing a plan take form followed by execution? I guess that's fair enough, but honestly, I'm inclined to gloss over them unless there's some standout dialogue, or little details worth pointing out. Destroy the ads for Octavio's demonstration, steal the blueprints for the pump room, destroy the oil thingies, and trick the police mercenaries into a turf war with Octavio's helicopter goons. Got it? Let's go. Sly's idle animations in the safe house are incredibly charming. Look at him balance his cane, he's so proud of it. Solid as a rock, Sly. He can even take out the Thievius Raccoonus and read a page or two. After all the work we put into getting it back in the first game, it's good to see he's still appreciating it. Oh, that rear Weechy Cooper. What a scamp. Also, the sound that's made when he sets down his cane is the same noise that the smoke bomb makes, which strangely makes more sense in the context of how it worked in Sly 2, when he tapped his cane on the ground. Speaking of power-ups, there are more available after the act break, and by the looks of things, we've gotten a nice jump in variety too. The combat dodge is as weird as ever. It's overkill on the small guards and outright doesn't work on the big guys. I don't know why it's here, but the knockout dive is always good. Gives Sly a solid option in those less favorable matchups. The shove attack is kinda strange. It ties into a change in Sly's moveset. Pressing triangle when not sneaking behind a guard will cause Sly to charge up his cane. Press square after a charge to perform the old spin attack, and with that new power-up, press circle to charge forwards. It's kinda neat. It has more range than a normal swipe, and hella knockback on the rooftop guards. It has its uses, but really, it's just cool they've expanded Sly's toolset at all. Gives you a bit more to think about in combat. Another major change as of this day in the operation, Carmelita now roams the streets, and is a deadly threat to encounter, both for us and the other guards. Oh Sly, you prankster, you troublemaker. It's fun having her as an extra element in play, even if the only thing we can really do with her is avoid her. Hey, look, I did a comic book.
Octavio keeps the blueprints to his main tar pumping station in 3 parts. Each is cleverly hidden behind a painting inside one of his legit coffee houses.
Not very subtle, posting a full-time guard in front of a coffee house.
Since we destroyed his Ferris wheel, he's gone all out on the security. In fact, he's got all his guards checking up on each other. If we're going to get inside and at the blueprints, we can't raise any suspicion.
I'm with you. I'll approach the guard while in disguise and pretend to take the next shift. When the coast is clear, you head inside and swipe the blueprints. With me standing out front, no one will know that something's up.
While in disguise, you can basically only jump. Well, that and one other thing. Man, this game just keeps teeing up opportunities for me to wreak chaos in so many different ways. I love it. So if you get spotted while in disguise, it's just a quick round of Simon, and you're in the clear from them.
Bass, soprano.
Okay.
Alto, tenor, alto.
Sorry about that.
These 4 words are the 4 major ranges used usually when referred to someone singing. Soprano and tenor are upper female and male ranges, respectively. Alto and bass are lower, and they correspond nicely with their positions on the controller.
Hello again, sir.
Man, these guards are real polite when they're not trying to kill you. Mystifyingly, they even seem to have a tendency to leave their patrol route to you if you hang out with them for a minute, but only if they're off camera. Man, that's weird.
Tenor, alto.
Sorry about that. Okay, I guess you're the relief shift. Thanks for coming early. I got a big plans for tonight. Carnivale, good times, eh?
can't believe that worked! You've got the worst Italian accent I've ever heard! No offense.
Head inside and grab the blueprints. No telling how long till another patrol comes by.
Oh, here we go. These coffee shops are extremely ransackable. Oh mercy, oh heavens, not the muffins! Hey, check it out, readable menu prices. You know I'm a sucker for that. €5 for a cheese pizza, 12 for one with toppings, huh? I don't know about that. Hey, the coffee station in the police HQ had this exact same brand of coffee. How about that?
Octavio really is old school if he's using a painting safe. My father used to crack these all the time. The trick here is finding the safe's combination hidden somewhere in the artwork. Might take some searching, but it's sure to be there.
These painting saves are pretty slick. How are you gonna ensure all of your players, some of them kids with no attention spans, win this little game of I Spy? Well, simple really. You hide multiple codes in the paintings. Who's gonna keep looking after finding the first one anyway? Even on repeat playthroughs, I always remembered where I found the code the first time and never found the duplicates. But what an incredibly clever way to make this seem tougher than it actually is. These codes will reset if you back out and come back in, and the sound of all three of them doing it at once does something to my brain. Oh, and of course, this is the art of Jean Basson's logging camp from the intro to Menace from the North. Ayy! Real fast before we leave, Bentley's reaction to fire damage is brilliant. Now, the password, I hesitate to even call it a minigame, is so easy that I doubt most people will have ever even heard some of the lines for failing it, so here's some of the best.
Hey, it's me!
You stupid!
Could you repeat the question?
Wrong!
I'll get right back to you on that.
Yeah, right. Am I glad you're here? Mama's making spaghetti tonight and I'm starving. I'm gonna eat like 4 plates full.
I guess that you really like cooking.
Mamma mia, I want to be buried in her sauce. It's heaven.
Any problems with that guy?
Said he wanted to be buried in his mom's pasta sauce.
Yeah. That's strange.
You know, I just can't get it out of my head. Have you ever had pasta sauce that tasty? I don't want to distract you or anything, but I just don't think I've ever had cooking that good. Are we like missing out on a whole universe of flavors here?
The next painting comes from the background of the intro to Vicious Voodoo back in the first game. Nothing too trying about any of its 3 codes.
You know, maybe there's a good Italian restaurant around here.
Enough with the sauce! Keep your focus, we're on a job here! Thugs everywhere, death around every corner!
You're right. We got one more coffee house to hit, then we're done.
Yes, now you're talking sense!
And then we eat.
Yeah, that's one of the best exchanges in the game. No notes. If I tried to add to the joke, I'd just be messing with perfection. What I can segue out of that is the sheer amount of restaurants you can notice about this town if you look. Gelateria, pizzeria, trattoria, bucceria, cafe, I can't make that work. A parfumerie, and this souvenir shop has novelty Octavio mugs and plates. In short, it's safe to say you can definitely find a good Italian restaurant around here, Sly.
Yeah, you know the code, but what's my nickname? There's only one Tony B on the payroll, and I'm famous in the family.
I'm a new, just got called in from Roma.
They know me in Rome. I'm practically the mayor of organized crime in Rome. You telling me you never heard my nickname there?
My cell phones are going off. I should take this call. Could be the boss.
Yeah, okay.
Talk to some of the other guards in the area and see if any of them know Tony B's nickname.
Alright, I see the merits here. Gotta introduce players who might not have realized that this whole disguise racket will work on any guard, not just the ones blocking the doors. Speaking of guards, we may not know Tony B's nickname yet, but these big dogs are called cane corsos, a breed better known as Italian Mastiffs, which almost literally translates to guard dog. Very clever.
Yep, that's the password. Sometimes I forget them, you know.
You and me are both, pal. Hey, you know what the Tony B's nickname is?
Yeah, that fathead likes to call himself Tony the Killer Bee. What an idiot.
Oh, come on. Everyone's heard of Tony the Killer Bee. You're the terror of every player ground from here to Sicily.
Ha ha ha, real funny. Least I'm not on guard duty during Carnival. Who's got the last laugh now, tough guy? Me. That's who.
Don't take too long. If that guy comes back to chat, I'm out of here.
Man, And this is a nice coffee shop, even got a bit of continuity with the dome on the roof. Nice, nice. And we got a picture of Prague from the beginning of Jailbreak, pretty sure no one missed that. I found the first two on this one pretty quickly, but the third took me a while. I'm gonna give you a moment to try and spot it for yourself. This one's pretty good. It's right up there on the roof.
Get out of there! It must have been rigged to an alarm.
We need to hide out back in the safe house. That alarm is attracting all kinds of guards.
Yep, can do. Here's something I noticed long after this part was already edited. Only on the PS3 version, there's an interactable on the police station door. Use it, and... I can't even begin to guess how this happened. The cafe door isn't interactable. You can't re-enter this space by any means other than the door across the plaza. Just, what? How? Now, of those, I decided to do that mission first because the disguise upgrade we acquired is permanent, and we can continue to make use of it throughout Venice.
I've taken over this Carnival fireworks stand as a base of operations for our next job. We need to take out the sign and balloons advertising Octavio's big comeback opera recital. Now, I've cobbled together a few explosives powerful enough to destroy the anchors to those balloons. Unfortunately, I'm a little short on fuses.
Then I'll be quick.
It's not gonna come in too much handy here, though. In fact, if not for the hazard room, I'd say this mission is the de facto tutorial on sprinting, and the disguise really ain't gonna help.
The Carnival password.
Transmitting password.
Hey!
The game has determined that these guards must die here, so no matter how well you evade them, they still run full force into the bomb.
Excellent!
The only way to save them from that grisly fate is to just kill them earlier.
That explosive had some kick.
It was a child compared to this ferocious beast. Don't dilly-dally with this one. It's got a longer fuse, but you've got farther to run.
Ferocious beast?
Run, Slime, run! Fear the beast!
Bentley's enthusiasm for explosives has really amped up. In the past, it was only his chemical expertise that suited him to the role of gang demolitionist, but now he's really gotten into the spirit of things. This sprint's a little tricky, mostly because Carmelita is smack in our path, but nothing too strenuous.
Ha ha! The whole stage 2. The balloon, carried by the wind, will impact on the Octavio side. The combustible gases in the balloon will ignite, and BAM! Hindenburg Part 2. Drat and curses! The wind died. The balloon's caught. Sorry, pal. See if you can climb up and knock the balloon free. I'll start putting together another explosive for the side. Such a shame. I was really looking forward to seeing that balloon burn. Fascinating chemical reaction.
Okay, game. I guess I can let the hazard room stuff slide if it means escalating the climbing mechanics to this point this early. This single building calls upon more thieving opportunities than most entire missions. It's nice that we're starting here, but we'll just have to see if it escalates things further.
Balloon. Oh, looks like we've got a new ferocious beast on this operation. Come on back and... What? Sorry, sir, we're currently closed. Hey, let go of me! Sly, get back here, quick!
So nothing seems to be going exactly right, huh? Finding Dimitri instead of Murray, tripping security alarms at the end of jobs, and now...
Help!
Ah, Sly Cooper. My boy on the inside picked up those pictures of me you sent to the cops. Nice a try, but I own this town.
Our octogenarian opera ghost has gotten the upper hand on us. Our duo is clumsy, struggling to keep up at a point where things should be simplest.
Ooh, that's the toughest talker you got. You're pathetic. Back in my day, we had enforcers that would make people pee their pants just as soon as a look at them.
Believe me, old-timer, I don't make idle threats.
Oh, I know all about you and your crack little gang. You ain't nothing without these little guys' brains. So, I figure I'll just scoop them out real slow and use them to fertilize my tomato plants.
I'm allergic to tomatoes.
Now we're improvising, sprinting after a relic of the past who's still light enough on his feet to outmaneuver Sly. Have we lost it? Did we ever even have it?
You want this runt? Take him! I won't forget about this. You guys are dead!
You okay, Bentley?
I'm fine. My ego's bruised, but it'll heal.
Mine too, Bentley. Mine too. That mission unlocks 2 Master Thief challenges. The first, Tower Scramble, evokes the Master Thief sprints of old, a time limit on a good old-fashioned platforming course. I appreciate this because, despite the acrobatics on display, nothing about reaching the top of this tower is hard. Just don't forget to press circle, and you literally can't miss. Put the pressure on with the timer though, and it's a whole different ballgame. I also like to think maybe this was going to be the original mission before they decided to throw in the twist with Octavio kidnapping Bentley. Our second challenge, Coin Chase, dares us to pursue Octavio while also collecting 20 coins along the way. He rubber bands super hard though, so you don't really have to stress about it, it's just a matter of not getting too far away from him. But he's got a generous radius. These flower beds, the ones with legs, not the ones without, are the real moneymakers. Now this is the kind of thing I can really sink my teeth into. Getting that 20 coin requirement is nothing, but it tracks your high score, so I figured, why not really go for it? My record is 90 coins. I'm convinced 100 is possible, but there's a degree of luck to it. Objects will pay out random amounts, sometimes guards or chimneys just won't spawn, and I've optimized as much as I have the patience for. Also, I did check, and pickpocketing loot from a guard doesn't count towards the total. That's a shame. Okay, Bentley's got another mission. Let's see if we can actually do a job as him where we use his skill set. You know, darts, bombs, the works. His chair's new thrusters let you coast out of a double jump, almost like a glide. It's cool.
Sly said you were looking for me?
We need your help to destroy some tar drums.
I guess we're not rocking with Bentley after all. Murray makes his gameplay debut here, and he has all the same abilities we were once familiar with. However...
I'm done with all that. I found a new path. It's full of peacefulness.
Come on, what happened to the Murray? The guy who'd get into a fist fight with 10 thugs wearing nothing but a towel. The guy who used to punch first and not bother asking questions later. Where's that guy? Where's my old friend?
He's whole hog, or whole hippo on the path of peace. A path which, apparently, has some pretty sweet loopholes.
Well, what if you could help us peacefully? You wouldn't have to punch anyone.
I'm in. Keep it peaceful and I'll smash up anything you'd like.
As a student of the Australian Dreamtime, I'm sure you've learned of the ball form?
Yeah, sure, like my first week.
Excellent. Tuck into ball form and clog that vent pipe. The pressure buildup should shoot you skyward. Maintain your ball form and smash into the tar drums around town.
Awesome! Yeah, that's totally peaceful!
Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother checking if the Aboriginal ball form is a real thing, but it's neat for what it represents for Murray. His role in the first game was, as Sly put it,
part-time driver and full-time burden.
Outside the van, he was little more than a ball and chain, a big dumb lunk who kept getting himself into trouble, and Sly constantly had to bail him out. In the 2-year turnaround between the end of the first game and the start of the second, he reinvented himself though. Determined not to drag down the other guys, he pumped fists in iron until he became The Murray, a luchador-inspired title reflective of his newfound gusto for getting his hands dirty, and calling out his wrestler moves.
Underflop!
Now, even for the player, he was the gang's rock, a solid wall of muscle that we could always rely on if things got too tense on the stealth side of things, ready to keep on coming and go through hell if it meant protecting his friends. But despite all that, he was still the most emotional. He took the gang's heavy losses at the end of the game the most personal, and blamed himself for all of it.
I'm sorry, Bentley. I tried to save you, but I just wasn't strong enough.
Get over it, Murray. I don't blame you, and never have. The only thing I feel bad about is losing my pal.
In the comic Between Games, he sort of regresses back to that burdensome mindset, convinced that he's the cause of the group's misfortune. So what we've gotten now is a total reflection of that need to reinvent himself, overcorrecting and going whole hippo in the other direction.
It's just that I promised I'd stay here and peacefully meditate till the black water ran pure.
Peace, meditation, and a strict spiritual regimen to balance out his physical one. It's peculiar, but it gives him a level of versatility even Sly can't match, at least without a mega jump pack. We can reach areas no one else can, and despite the noise, we traverse this whole city leaving all the guards none the wiser. Sure, laying the smackdown on the guards is met with an immediate mission fail, but I think Murray puts it best.
Yeah, well, I haven't forgotten who my friends are. I'm just playing with a different deck.
Now, with all the narrative stuff out of the way, this mission's weird. The way the ball works is, you can only ever reach the highest point you've been to since you entered the form and maintained the bounces. Exit the form or stop bouncing, and you'll only ever be able to get so much air. What's weird is that these tar reservoirs will cover themselves up if you ever lose your bounce from that initial air vent launch. No matter how tall of a building you jump off of, they'll stay stubbornly closed until you head back to that one launch point. Also, even though you're not allowed to punch guards, you can still land on them, and apparently that's fine, that's still peaceful. Don't get too comfy back on the ground, there's a Master Thief challenge for that mission, imposing a time limit on you now. It looks pretty strict, but then it refills every time you bust a drum, so there's honestly not much to say about this one. The ball's pretty sensitive to slopes, so you can always aim at the sides of rooftops and bridges that slope towards your goal, but still, the time limit is too generous for that to be truly necessary. Now, I've saved the best for last. I'm just gonna let this play.
Bentley, looks like you found one of Octavio's Vincenetti goons. You on your way to the police station for the old bait and switch?
Yeah, he's following me. Too close for comfort. You gotta move.
Hey, all you fake cops, go home. We don't need no more stupid dogs in Venezia.
I might not be a real cop, but I've got feelings, pal. Maybe just hurt them.
You talking to me, fruitcake? Cause I don't need a date.
Eat missile, punk!
This was a good plan, Bentley. Now we can just sit back and watch the fireworks.
Thank you. I pride myself on deviousness these days. With her 8th guard under fire, there's a 93% chance that Carmelita will arrive and take out the entire Vincenetti gang.
Devious.
Inspector Fox, I'm glad to see you. This Vincenetti puke is giving me all I can handle.
Stand your ground, soldier. We'll take them together.
We take control of Carmelita, and she kicks so much ass she has to buy custom boots designed to combat the odor. Unlike any of the gang, she is always sprinting, R1 instead being dedicated to firing her shock pistol. She has a little pirouette attack, but her pistol packs a paralyzing punch. Even better, her circle button is a mega jump, giving her incredible mobility and cementing her as the most powerful playable character in the game. These Vincenetti fellows are tough foes though. They can take a lot of punishment and dish it out just the same, and we've got to take down 10 of them in a row. It's nothing Miss Fox can't handle, and thanks to her sheer power, there's actually not much input I can offer. Just shred them down and be sure to have a great time doing it. Now, between me finishing most of Opera of Fear and recording this exact voiceover, Sony was considerate enough to port the PS2 version of Sly 3 to modern hardware, which will make a beautiful addition to my options going forward with this breakdown. For now, I'm splicing this in because they added a few delightful new trophies to hunt, which, counter to the PS3 collection, we won't get simply by completing all the missions and obtaining all the gadgets. Target Practice, which tasks us with nailing 5 of these hanging signs as Carmelita. I love this both for giving an excuse to explore a bit as Madame Fox and teaching me that these signs are breakable. The other one available now, Time to Cool Off, is for dropping 3 guards in the drink with these canal traps, which I would have gotten anyway for the record. Just so I don't have to specify it, from now on, every trophy I mentioned will be for the PS4 and 5 versions of the game. That's not because I don't like the PS3 ones, although, yes, also that. It's mainly because there are no PS3 achievements we'll have to go out of our way for. I wasn't exaggerating. You will get the Platinum Trophy in the Sanzar report just by beating the game, finishing every Master Thief challenge, and buying every gadget.
All sectors have been stabilized. No further Vincenetti presence has been detected.
Good work, man. For mercenaries, you fought with honor and distinction. I'm proud of you.
Seeing her with her own job complete screen just feels right. Now, if you're hungry to play as her just a bit more, there's no Master Thief challenge for that mission, but there is a surprisingly robust 2-player mode. It's called Cops and Robbers. Sly versus Carmelita in a race to 5 points, Venice as their playground. It's nothing vital to the core Sly 3 experience, but get a player 2 around, and this is a surprisingly good time. Despite Carmelita's power, I think it's pretty heavily weighted towards Sly's success. Both players can score points by knocking out the other, but Sly can also gain them by picking up Pedestal Treasure, another Sly 2 feature absent from the main levels, and bringing them to drop-off points. And some of these are just way too close together. Each player can also collect power-ups, including Mega Jump, which is always a good time, and as far as I can tell, this is the only legitimate means within the game of reaching a few high-up blue sparkles, like this one way on top of the tower, or this one on top of Octavio's mansion. That second one's especially funny because you can see only 1/3 of the town has any objectives or power-ups in it, and there's no real reason to wander over there. Carmelita also gets the Contessa's Hypnosis power, which has some bizarre lore ramifications. At the end of the day, I just have to applaud Sucker Punch for capturing, perhaps even elevating the feeling of escaping the law by giving a player control over Carmelita. This can get tense.
right.
Oh, Sly, you rascal, you rogue.
With Octavio's comeback opera recital just a few hours away, we're all set up for the main event. Get ready for Operation Tar Be Gone. Our objective, get Murray back on the team.
Okay, I've let a lot of the photos slide in these slideshows, but Bentley, I need you to sit down and explain to me where you got these pictures of Murray in his old gear in Venice. I've seen your photoshopping capabilities. I know you ain't got it like that. Now it's time to knock down the dominoes we set up, destroy the tar vacuum pumps, steal Octavio's demolition switch by, challenging him to an opera duel and knocking him out while he's distracted, and head off with Murray. Let's talk about that. Murray's current stage of his spirit quest is to meditate until the tar is out of Venice's water. Bentley, you're leaping to quite a conclusion that he's gonna rejoin the team as the muscle when that's all said and done. Now onto the final phase of Venice. I want to point out the skybox, because it changes between every phase of the episode. Honestly, I might never have even noticed, but that's all the more reason to appreciate its inclusion. That kind of polish means a lot to me. This will continue to be the case in future episodes, but one especially endearing detail here is that the wanted posters about town weren't there when we first showed up. Carmelita must have made sure they got plastered over the city after we made our appearance.
This is it. Octavio is due to arrive for the opera recital in just a few minutes.
We did a good job taking out the advertising. No one's shown up to listen. No audience means no demolition demonstration.
True, but to finish the job, we'll need to take out the main tar vacuum. Use your disguise to gain entry to the opera house. Then head down to the pump room and let me in through the side door.
No problem, signore.
Whew, nice digs. The fountain, all of Octavio's O logo. As long as we've got a bit of a slow moment here, there's one more pre-release design to go over for this level, and that's Octavio. My goodness, did we ever get an upgrade here. This design is so much harder to take seriously. It's basically a different skin on the same model, but something about this makes him look so diminutive. Some of his concept art brings across what they were going for, but I guess it didn't translate too well into 3D. Grrr.
Drat! A double button door! I'll think of something. Just give me time.
Don't worry, Bentley. I just need to try a button 30 times. Oh, I guess that might help.
You! I don't recognize you. What's the secret soprano password?
Interestingly, if you use the mission replay menu to take the disguise into Octavio Snap...
I got a shadow, huh? You stink! Back in my day, thieves knew how not to get caught.
He's not fooled then, but he is now.
What's the secret soprano password?
He requests a unique password that none of the guards can ask for, which is a nice touch.
Tenor bass, tenor, tenor.
Weirdly though, the code itself is the same as the Carnival password.
What's the Carnivale password?
Tenor bass, tenor, tenor.
You can't sneak that past me, Sucker Punch. Step it up.
Okay. Pass a word to the rest of the guards that under no circumstances am I to be disturbed during my big comeback recital.
Yes, sir. I'm certainly looking forward to the performance. Once I'm done in the pump room, I'll be headed out to the stage. If it isn't too much trouble, would you help me with this double-button security door?
But of course. For a fellow musical lover, it would be a pleasure.
Oh, you know I need to know if the 30 times thing will work with Octavio.
3! Be quick in there, you won't want to miss out.
Yes, indeed. Nice bit of polish here. There are 2 versions of this scene depending on if you start it in disguise or not.
Sly! Over here! Once I've destroyed all 6 tar pipes, the vacuum should start to lose suction.
Look, if those bombs attract any guards, let me do the fighting. You just focus on taking out the tar pipes. We need to stay on schedule.
Woohoo! About time we're actually working as Bentley. The various mechanisms around here can make just laying the bombs on these pipes pretty tricky. You may even want to use trigger bombs instead, but the mobsters flowing in aren't much of a threat, so there's not much call to optimize. Now, I'm gonna break continuity here for the sake of narrative flow, and skip ahead a bit. After finishing this heist, we'll unlock 3 different Master Thief time trials based on some of the pieces of this operation. I'm gonna go over these as we go through their coinciding challenges, largely because, since all they do is add timers, they're practically identical. Speed bombing is probably the most set apart of the 3. It gives you a little under a minute to knock out all the tar pipes. The main thing that really makes this difficult is that the enemies, and Sly for that matter, can really throw off your positioning, and cause you to misplace some bombs and waste precious seconds. A really easy and kind of silly workaround for this is that the guards won't start spawning in until you destroy your first pipe. So prime them all by hitting them with 2 bombs each, and then circle back to easily dispatch them with only 1 blast apiece.
Just 1 pipe left!
work, partner. Is there still time to catch Octavio's recital?
We're right on schedule. If my calculations are correct, he should be about to perform an aria originally written as a duet. That's when we strike.
Think he'll really let you on stage with him?
Of course, he's a musician. He'll be overjoyed to have a lyrical counterpoint. Just be ready to drop the chandelier when I've lured him underneath.
Okay, so here's my theory. Bentley knows this is a stupid plan that's gonna get him hurt, right? He was already talking up his own deviousness earlier, so maybe the plan is for Murray to see Bentley in trouble, and then he'll have no choice but to leap into action, right?
Ah, Mr. Tomato Fertilizer. You got a death wish.
I couldn't resist showing you up at what you treasure most. Opera singing.
You're a vocalist. Fine. A duet is coming up. We'll sing it first, and then I'll gut you.
Bring it on, Grandpa. I'll sing you under the table.
Then again, maybe Bentley just knew he had Octavio outmatched, because little does the Don know, Bentley is well versed in the obscure art of Mongolian throat singing, allowing him to actually harmonize with himself. Or we could win through the sheer power of interpretive dance. Yeah, this minigame gets more lenient the more you fail it. The failure state scene is also fantastic.
Whoa, whoa! That's the worst singing I ever heard. I can't go on, you're too awful.
Dude, where's your arm? Oh, it's back on the PS2 version, okay. But very much like a similar job in Sly 2, I got to get pretty silly here. Not that it wasn't extremely silly to begin with, Bentley giving it his all in an actual opera duel. How, when looking back at the best heists of old, do you take this seriously? Is there not a more dignified plan we could have executed? Something more along the lines of Sly 2? No, really, that's the question we're trying to answer here. What this whole episode has been built around. The ending of the last game had a massive impact, so is there any going back on the changes it made? Would Bentley have ever considered singing against a professional before? Let me put that better. Humiliating himself on stage like this. He may have lost his legs, but he's gained an unshakable confidence in their stead. Would the Murray ever refuse an opportunity to use his fists? Would Sly have ever been so quick to bargain with Dimitri?
You can take all you want. I can. No deal.
The fact we're left with is that this isn't Sly 2 anymore. That's not a bad thing, look at all we've gained. But things have changed, and we have to be ready to change with them.
Now!
What? No!
Freeze! The lot of you are going to jail!
This recital is over.
He's still got the demolition switch!
They never ever freeze!
I'll drive, you shoot.
I need immediate pickup. Criminals are headed east.
Actually, Carmelita, according to the Binocucom, we're headed southwest.
All units converge.
Roger.
Sorry, Cooper. This time I've got you surrounded.
Can't you go any faster?
This is it. Shoot out his engine and we'll have him.
The canal is full of cops! We're in big trouble here!
Octavio's at least got a couple tricks up his sleeve compared to the Blue Vipers, but nothing functionally more complex.
Attention criminals! You're traveling at an unsafe and illegal speed. Stop her. Prepare to be forced. Cooperate now. We'll locate you on. Resist. I'll personally make sure none of you see sunlight from here. Stop your idiots or we will be forced to subdue you. We've been authorized to speak of force. You hear that, Cooper? Legal force.
That Carmelita, what a sweet talker.
All right, Frank. Double that and open fire on criminals.
This chase gets a chance to be a bit trickier with Octavio's Canal Challenge. It gives you probably like a minute and a half? I don't know, these bars are hard to judge. Honestly, making a Master Thief reiteration of both Canal Chase sequences makes them overstay their welcome just a tad. Maybe I'd be singing a different tune if the time limit made me work a bit, but it's nothing strict.
Yes!
He's out of control. Get ready for a sudden stop.
No! More to the left, you idiot! We're gonna crash!
Well, he went left.
It's over, Octavio. You're beat. Give us the demolition switch and we'll all try to ditch these cops.
You chasing me for this? Fine, big shot. It took me 6 months to prepare this thing. But what the hey, I got more where this came from.
You guys see that boat go out of control and jump and smash into that thing? Destruction! So cool!
And now we shift our focus back to Murray, the hippo who's perhaps internalized too well just how different things have become. He's seen how things are changing, and rather than find his new place in the new way, he's removed himself from it entirely, refusing to believe, because of one shortcoming, that he was ever a necessary part of this band of merry rogues.
You think that was a cool punk?
You monster! Stop it! Stop it!
And now, he's faced with a grisly parallel of what he sees as his greatest failure.
You're right to be scared, hippo. Your wheelchair friend should have been so smart.
Murray! Help!
And it shows him just how far he's been running.
That does it! I'll floss my teeth with your spine! The Murray returns!
The fight against Octavio is a catharsis of fists. The old Don matches Murray step for step, even having a quicker version of our own Thunderflop to counter our attacks with.
He's too fast. Lure him into the tar pool. That should slow him down.
Honestly, I'm a little disappointed at how this works mechanically. Octavio's not impossible to hit. You can get in a couple blows if you're careful, but he's invincible unless you snag his feet in some tar. While he's not as limber now, he gets a different skill set with more range. He'll probably get his licks in, but learning the telegraphs and deftly avoiding them is pretty satisfying. At half his HP, you'll have to relocate the fight to get more tar.
Murray, these pumps are out of tar. I saw some more valves over by the cop station. Follow me to a fresh supply.
Without the tar, I'll crush you boys like a bugs! You may have more tar, but I'm not holding back no longer. Listen to the song of your death!
The Murray knows no song but the triumphant horn section of his own triumph!
And then he'll unleash his ultimate attack, the sonic waves of his sultry voice. This boss fight is also our final Master Thief challenge, with the longest time limit yet. I think it's about 4 minutes. I'd say you're generally more at risk of running out of health than time, so make use of the spare moments waiting for Sly to get the tar flowing by smashing up chairs and stuff, and maybe spare a fist or two on your run across town to get yourself topped off. That operatic ray attack is going to be the hardest because it has the least amount of wind up before you're gonna have to revert to dodging that sweet tenor. Actually, hang on my man, you are a baritone at the highest. Listen to this note he sings. That's like down here. Tenor my foot. On that note, let's talk about Octavio.
Take that, punks! Ain't no school like the old school!
A remnant of a bygone age, unironically whipping out the phrase, back in my day, every few minutes.
Octavio really is old school if he's using a painting safe.
The lengths gone to paint him in this light have gone from overt all the way down to the neatest little details, like the computer he uses.
This old dinosaur.
For him, there is no cost too great to hold on to the past. The golden years of opera are the only ones worth it, right? Rock and roll is worse because it's different, just like Murray's path is worse because it's different. Just like Sly 3 is worse because it's different from Sly 2, right? Let's rewind a bit and zoom back out to our framing device set up at the beginning of the end. Sly is dying. He is literally watching his life flash before his eyes, and at this moment, these are his clearest memories. Allow me to veer sharply down a path of pop psychology for a moment. If you're the kind of person who watches this kind of video, odds are you're already familiar with the stages of grief. For the few who aren't, they're a somewhat over-literal interpretation of the emotions, or lack thereof, that neurotypical humans are likely to experience when they're informed of a death, either that of someone they love, or of their own impending, or anything along those lines. The popular model involves 5 stages: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. But the model I'm interested in today is the slightly more modern 7 stages, which adds shock and testing, because it would seem to me that the episodes in this game are deliberately evocative of those 7 stages. stages. After the initial shock of the opening dropping us in medias res, leaving us with far more questions than answers, we, like Sly, begin the process, starting with denial. The refusal to accept the way things are, the way things are going, permeates almost everything about this episode, right down to the way it emulates so much of Sly 2. My apologies if my comparisons to that game over the course of this episode got a bit repetitive, but I really wanted this point to land when I made it. In Opera of Fear aggressively attacks the idea that the status quo hasn't changed since last time, as steadily, over the course of the jobs, the differences become more and more apparent, until...
So that's it. The old guard's out, and a new generation steps in.
That's right! Stepping in! Big time!
There's no more denying that we're moving forward, a new direction, veering towards perhaps something a bit more final. The only question now is, are you in?
Octavio wasn't so lucky. The guy got 30 years behind bars for what he did to Venice. I guess Italians don't like it when you sink their landmarks. Ironically, he found success as a singer while in jail. After all, most of his old fan base was already in the Clank.
A few great touches on that scene to close out on, like the way the whole gang has splotches of tar on them. Interesting smidge of continuity here, this building with the number 1422 can be seen in the opening as well. I have to wonder if the number has any significance. And of course, we carry on one of Sucker Punch's favorite running jokes, of adding le to anything to make it French.
But the big score here was bringing our old pal back into the gang. Once he put on those gloves and that mask, it was clear to everyone, most of all him, that the Murrays had returned.
And that does it for Opera of Fear. Next up is Rumble Down Under, a remarkably contentious level among the fandom, so I might surprise you guys with a few hot takes. We'll have to see. If you want to see, like, literally right now, well, you can. It's on my Patreon for the viewing pleasure of my absolutely stunning, spectacular, and wonderful patrons. Link in the description if you want to be one of them, and bask in my overwhelming gratitude along with Amiri the Grey, who whispers in the language of the Skull Rack Thor, and she's kindly asked them not to invade yet, so that was cool of her. It's CL though, who can gaze into the future, and it turns out life is actually kind of a breeze when you can. Raven, who is both fleek as hell and absolutely gobsmacked that last one wasn't about him, as well as Janku, Chris Bradell, Jojo Dwagon, the Humble Oscar, Sato DeSable, 10-Beat, Dilling City, and the absolute mob of the rest of you bellissimo patrons. You're the real dons in this neighborhood, and I will see you in the next one.